Charlotte Hale had everything: wealth, status, a father who built empires. But the one thing she wanted, she couldn't have. Her bodyguard, Marcus Reed. One stolen kiss in a shadowed corridor should have stayed secret, but someone was watching, and that someone had a camera. When her vindictive ex-fiancé leaked an edited video that twisted their love into something ugly, Charlotte faced an impossible choice: protect her family's reputation by lying, or risk everything by telling the truth. What she didn't know was that Marcus had already written his resignation letter, ready to disappear to save her from the scandal. But Charlotte wasn't the kind of woman who let love walk away without a fight. And when she posted 3 sentences that changed everything, the world had to decide: would they believe the lie, or would they finally see the truth? If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because this story proves that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose honesty over perfection. The charity reception had lasted 3 hours too long. Charlotte Hale stood near the ballroom's service corridor, her smile finally dropping away. Her jaw ached from holding it in place. Her feet throbbed in heels she'd worn because her father's guests expected polish. She pressed 2 fingers to her temple and closed her eyes. "Miss Hale?" Marcus Reed's voice was low and steady. It always was. He stood a few feet away, hands clasped in front of him, wearing the dark suit and earpiece that marked him as part of the estate's security team. His deep brown eyes watched her carefully. "Are you all right?" he asked. Charlotte let out a breath. "I just needed a minute away from Mr. Pemberton. He's had 4 drinks and keeps asking about my investment portfolio like it's his business." A small smile tugged at Marcus's mouth. "I noticed. That's why I suggested the caterers needed to speak with you near the kitchen." She blinked. "That was you? Someone had to get you out of that conversation." For the first time all evening, Charlotte felt her shoulders relax. "Thank you. Just doing my job, miss." "Charlotte," she corrected quietly. "When it's just us, you can use my name." Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "Charlotte." The ballroom noise felt distant here. Staff moved past them, carrying trays, but the corridor was dim and cool. Charlotte leaned against the wall, suddenly exhausted. "I hate these events," she admitted. "Everyone's smiling and saying the right things, but no one means any of it." Marcus stayed quiet, listening the way he always did. It was one of the things she'd noticed about him over the past year. He didn't fill silences with empty words. "I feel like I'm always performing," she continued. Her voice shook a little. "Always being the perfect daughter, the polished heiress. And I'm tired, Marcus. I'm so tired of pretending." He took a step closer. "You don't have to pretend with me." Charlotte looked up at him. Really looked at him. She'd spent months noticing small things: the way he listened, the quiet strength in how he moved, the kindness in his eyes when he thought no one was watching. She'd tried to ignore the feeling growing in her chest, tried to tell herself it was just gratitude for his professionalism. But it wasn't. And standing here in this quiet corridor, away from all the people who expected her to be someone she wasn't, Charlotte couldn't lie to herself anymore. "I feel safe with you," she whispered. "You're the only person who doesn't want something from me. The only one who just sees me." Marcus's expression shifted. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. "Charlotte, I know I shouldn't say it," she rushed on. "I know all the reasons why this is complicated, but I'm tired of not being honest. I'm tired of hiding what I feel." "You're not the only one hiding something," Marcus said softly, her heart hammered. "What do you mean?" He glanced down the corridor, then back at her. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. I care about you. More than I should. More than is probably wise. The world seemed to narrow to just the two of them. The distant music, the clatter of dishes, the hum of voices, it all faded away. Charlotte's hand lifted without her meaning to. Her fingers touched his jaw, gentle and uncertain. Is this real? She asked. It's real, Marcus answered. She didn't know who moved first. Maybe they both did. But suddenly his mouth was on hers, warm and careful. His hand cupped the back of her head while hers clutched the front of his jacket. The kiss was brief and sweet and felt like the first honest thing Charlotte had done in years. A gasp made them pull apart. Tess Alvarez stood 5 feet away, eyes wide, phone in her hand. She was one of the catering assistants, young and startled. She looked from Charlotte to Marcus and back again. I'm sorry, Tess stammered. I was just... It's all right, Charlotte said quickly, though her heart was racing. Tess backed away, still looking shocked, and disappeared around the corner. Marcus stepped back, his professional mask sliding into place. We need to go. Now. Charlotte nodded, her lips still tingling. Her mind spun with what had just happened and what it might mean. Marcus guided her through a side door and toward the car, waiting in the curved driveway. His hand hovered near her elbow, but didn't touch. To anyone watching, he looked exactly like a bodyguard doing his job. But Charlotte could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw was set. They'd been careful for so long. And in one moment, they'd let their guard down. The car rolled through the estate gate 15 minutes later. Neither of them had spoken. Marcus drove while Charlotte sat in the back seat, staring at her hands. Her phone buzzed, a text from her cousin Evelyn. How was the reception? Survived the donor parade? Charlotte typed back. Can we talk tomorrow? Everything okay? Charlotte hesitated, then wrote, I did something brave or foolish, not sure which yet. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Finally, call me when you can. Love you. The car pulled up to the main house. Staff were still cleaning up from the reception, moving between the ballroom and the kitchen. Marcus parked and came around to open Charlotte's door. We need to talk, he said quietly. But not here. Not now. Where? The side garden. 20 minutes. I'll make sure no one sees. Charlotte nodded and walked into the house, trying to keep her face neutral. Her father was in his study going over paperwork. He glanced up as she passed. Good event tonight? Richard Hale said. Mr. Pemberton pledged $50,000. That's wonderful, Dad. He studied her for a moment. You look tired. It was a long night. Get some rest. We have breakfast scheduled for 8. I will. Good night. Charlotte climbed the stairs to her room, changed out of her dress, and pulled on jeans and a sweater. She waited, watching the clock. When 20 minutes had passed, she slipped back downstairs and out a side door. The garden was dark except for solar lights along the path. Marcus stood near a stone bench, half hidden by rose bushes. He'd taken off his jacket and loosened his tie. I messaged Gabe, he said when she approached. Gabe Morgan was head of security, Marcus's direct supervisor. Asked if I could meet him tonight. Private. Charlotte's stomach tightened. What will you tell him? The truth. That we kissed. That someone saw? Marcus ran a hand over his head. I won't lie to him. He deserves better than that. What will happen? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. He looked at her, and in the dim light, she could see the worry in his eyes. I could lose my job, Charlotte, and you could lose your privacy, your reputation. I don't care about my reputation. You should. It affects your father's foundation, the sponsors, everything your family has built. Charlotte stepped closer. What about what I want? Doesn't that matter? It matters more than you know. His voice was rough. But I won't be the reason your life falls apart. You're not. I chose this. I chose you. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, We need to be smart. No public changes. We act like nothing happened. Tomorrow, we talk again. Off duty. Figure out what comes next. Can we do that? Just pretend? We've been doing it for months, Marcus pointed out. This time, we just know it's not one-sided. Charlotte wanted to argue, wanted to say they should tell the truth right now. But she also knew he was right. They needed time to think. Time to plan. Okay, she agreed. Tomorrow, we'll figure it out. Marcus nodded. He started to turn away, then stopped. Charlotte? Yeah? I don't regret it. The kiss. I just want you to know that. Something warm bloomed in her chest. I don't either. She watched him walk the perimeter of the property, checking doors and gates like he did every night. Professional, steady, reliable. But now she knew what was underneath all that control, and it changed everything. The security office was a small building near the garage. Marcus knocked just after midnight. Gabe Morgan opened the door, coffee mug in hand, looking tired, but alert. Come in. Marcus stepped inside. The office smelled like coffee and paper. Security monitors lined one wall, showing different views of the estate. Gabe gestured to a chair. What's on your mind? Marcus sat, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. I kissed Charlotte Hale tonight. One of the catering staff saw us. Gabe was quiet for a few seconds. Then he sighed and set down his mug. Hell, Marcus. I know. You know the rules. No relationships with clients or family members. It's right there in your contract. I know, Marcus repeated. I'm not making excuses. I just wanted you to hear it from me before it became something else. Gabe leaned back in his chair. He'd been in private security for 20 years. He'd seen everything, and he was fair, which was why Marcus respected him. Was she pressured? Gabe asked. Did she feel like she couldn't say no? No, it was mutual, I swear. And the witness? Did she film anything? I don't think so. She looked surprised, but I didn't see a camera pointed at us. Gabe rubbed his jaw, thinking. Finally, he said, Here's what I can do. I'll hold any formal incident report for 24 hours. That gives you time to figure out if this is something you want to pursue, or if it was just a moment. Marcus looked up, surprised. Why would you do that? Because you're a good guy, Marcus. You work hard, you're professional, and you don't cause trouble. And because I've seen the way Miss Hale looks at you when she thinks no one's watching. Gabe's expression was serious. But understand this. If it goes public, if it becomes a problem, I can't protect you. The Hales have sponsors, donors, a public image to maintain. You could lose your job. She could lose more. I understand. Fix it quietly if you can. If you can't, at least make sure you're both ready for what comes next. Marcus stood and offered his hand. Thank you. Gabe shook it. 24 hours. Use them wisely. Marcus stepped out into the cool night air. Relief and dread twisted together in his chest. He had time, but not much. Morning came too fast. Charlotte dressed for breakfast with her father, choosing a simple dress and pulling her hair back. She felt like she hadn't slept at all. Marcus stood by the breakfast room door when she arrived. He nodded to her, polite, professional. Her father was already seated, reading something on his tablet. Good morning, Charlotte. Morning, Dad. Richard Hale was 62, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. He'd built the family foundation from the ground up, turning old money into something that actually helped people. Charlotte admired him, even when his expectations felt crushing. "We have a luncheon in town today," Richard said. "The Historical Society. I'd like you there." "Of course. Marcus will drive us." Charlotte kept her face neutral. "That's fine." Her phone buzzed. A notification. She glanced at it and her stomach dropped. It was from a gossip account she followed, but rarely paid attention to. The post showed a blurry photo. Charlotte and Marcus in the hotel lobby last night, standing close, talking. The caption read, "Hail Heiress and her handsome bodyguard. Just business or something more?" There were already comments. Most were harmless curiosity, but a few made Charlotte's skin crawl with their assumptions and judgment. She locked her phone and set it face down on the table. "Everything all right?" her father asked. "Fine, just a notification." But it wasn't fine. The photo was innocent. They were just talking, but it was enough to plant a seed, enough to make people look closer. After breakfast, Charlotte found her cousin Evelyn in the library. Evelyn Shore was 29, warm and sharp, with curly dark hair and a knack for reading people. She looked up from her laptop when Charlotte entered. "You look stressed," Evelyn observed. Charlotte sank into the chair across from her. "I kissed Marcus last night." Evelyn's eyes widened. "You what?" "At the reception. We were alone, and I told him how I felt. He said he felt the same way, and we kissed." "Oh, Charlotte." Evelyn's voice was gentle. "How do you feel about it?" "Scared, happy, terrified. I don't know." Charlotte showed her the gossip post. "And this just went up." Evelyn studied the photo. "It's not bad. You're not even touching. But people are talking, and if that witness says something—" "What witness?" Charlotte explained about Tess. Evelyn listened, then reached across and squeezed Charlotte's hand. "Do you love him?" she asked. "I think I might," Charlotte whispered. "Then you have to be honest with yourself about what you're willing to risk. Because if this goes public, it's going to get messy." "I know. But," Evelyn added, "I've seen you at these events, Charlotte. You smile and nod and play the part. You're good at it. But you're not happy. And when Marcus is around, you're different. Lighter. You notice that?" "Everyone who pays attention notices it." The library door opened. Marcus appeared, his expression carefully blank. "The car is ready, Miss Hale." Charlotte stood. "Thank you." They rode into town in heavy silence. Her father reviewed notes on his tablet. Charlotte stared out the window. Marcus drove, his eyes on the road. The luncheon was at a small restaurant near the pier. Historical Society members filled 2 long tables, talking about preservation projects and fundraising goals. Charlotte smiled and answered questions and pretended her world wasn't shifting under her feet. Halfway through the meal, a familiar voice made her tense. "Charlotte Hale! What a surprise!" Alec Ward stood beside their table, all white teeth and expensive cologne, her ex-fiancé. They'd ended things 6 months ago when Charlotte realized he loved her family's name more than he loved her. "Alec," she said coolly, "I was just passing by. Thought I'd say hello." He glanced at her father. "Mr. Hale, always good to see you." Richard nodded but didn't invite him to sit. Alec's smile never wavered. "You know, I saw that little post this morning about you and your bodyguard. People do love to gossip." Charlotte's jaw tightened. "It's nothing." "Of course. I told everyone Charlotte would never risk her image like that. You've always been so careful about these things." He pulled out a business card. "But if you ever need help managing optics, my friend runs a PR firm. Happy to connect you." "I'm fine, thank you. Just looking out for you. You know how ugly social media can get." He placed the card on the table. "Think about it." After he left, Charlotte shoved the card into her purse. Outside, she saw Marcus standing near the restaurant entrance, watching. His expression was neutral, but she could see the tension in his posture. Alec was trouble. She'd always known that. That evening, Charlotte stood in the estate's study with Gabe Morgan and Evelyn. Her father was on a phone call in the next room. They were reviewing security footage from the night before. Standard procedure after large events. "There," Gabe said, pointing at the screen. The hallway camera showed a blurred image of two figures standing close together near the service corridor. You couldn't see faces clearly. You couldn't see the kiss. But the proximity was obvious. "Someone pulled this still from the system," Gabe continued. "An unknown login, only had access for about 10 minutes. Evelyn leaned forward. "Can you track who?" "Working on it, but whoever did it knew what they were looking for." Charlotte's chest felt tight. "You think someone's targeting us?" "I think someone saw an opportunity," Gabe said carefully. "The question is what they plan to do with it." 2 hours later, her phone buzzed. Another notification. The same gossip account had posted the cropped still, just the two blurred figures, no context, with a caption that asked pointed questions about appropriate boundaries. The comment section exploded. Charlotte's hands shook as she read them. Some defended her. Most didn't. People who'd never met her or Marcus were making assumptions, spinning stories, turning a private moment into entertainment. "Charlotte." Her father's voice came from the doorway. "My office, now." She found him behind his desk, looking older than he had that morning. Marcus stood to the side, his face unreadable. "Sit," Richard said. Charlotte sat, her heart hammered. "I've seen the posts," her father began, "and I've had 3 calls from sponsors asking if there's truth to them." "Dad," he held up a hand. "I'm not angry, I'm concerned. This family has a reputation. The foundation depends on that reputation. Donors, sponsors, the community, they all expect certain standards." "I haven't done anything wrong," Charlotte said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm not saying you have, but perception matters, and right now, people are watching." He looked at Marcus. "You've been with us for a year. You've done excellent work. I respect you, but you understand why staff boundaries exist." "I do, sir," Marcus said quietly. "And I take full responsibility for any discretion that may have been lacking. I'm not looking for someone to blame. I'm looking for a solution." Richard rubbed his eyes. "I need tonight to think, to make some calls. In the meantime, I'm asking both of you to be careful. Very careful." They left his office in silence. Charlotte felt hollowed out. Later that night, she found Marcus, Gabe, and Evelyn in the library. They'd gathered without anyone calling a meeting, just pulled together by shared worry. Charlotte showed them the latest post. It was worse than the first. The caption was harsher. The comments were uglier. Evelyn's phone buzzed. She checked it and swore softly. "There's another one. A burner account this time. They're pushing hard." Richard appeared in the doorway. He looked exhausted. "I've made my calls," he said. "Here's the situation. 2 sponsors have expressed concerns. One threatened to pull funding if this becomes a scandal. The others are waiting to see what happens next." "Dad." "Let me finish." He looked at Charlotte, then at Marcus. "I'm not telling you what to feel, but I am asking you to consider what this could cost. The foundation employs 30 people. It funds scholarships, community programs, preservation projects. If we lose sponsors, we lose all of that." "What do you want us to do?" Charlotte asked. Her father's voice was heavy. "Deny the relationship, publicly. Make it clear there's nothing between you. And Marcus, I think it would be best if you were reassigned. Different shift, different duties, away from Charlotte." The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Charlotte looked at Marcus. He was staring at the floor, his jaw tight. "That's your solution?" she asked her father. "We lie and pretend we don't care about each other?" "It's the practical solution, the one that protects everyone. Everyone except us." Richard's expression softened slightly. "I'm trying to protect you most of all, Charlotte. You don't understand how fast this can spiral, how cruel people can be." Charlotte stood. "I need air." She walked out onto the veranda. The night was cool and dark. Behind her, she heard voices. Evelyn arguing gently, Gabe explaining logistics, her father repeating his concerns. Footsteps approached. Marcus stopped beside her, but didn't speak. They stood there in the shadows, not touching. Both of them trapped between what they wanted and what they were being told to do. "I won't lie about you," Charlotte finally said. "I won't pretend you don't matter. And I won't let you lose everything because of me." They looked at each other. The space between them felt impossibly wide and achingly small at the same time. Inside, through the window, Charlotte could see her father pinching the bridge of his nose. Evelyn was texting someone rapidly. Gabe was making notes. Tomorrow would bring more decisions, more pressure. But tonight, in this moment, Charlotte and Marcus made a silent promise to each other. Whatever came next, they wouldn't face it alone. And they wouldn't face it with lies. The security bullpen smelled like coffee and old paperwork. Marcus sat at his desk before dawn, typing out a reassignment request. His fingers moved slowly across the keyboard. "I respectfully request reassignment to a different duty rotation, effective immediately." He stared at the words. They felt like giving up. Gabe appeared in the doorway, 2 mugs in his hands. He set one in front of Marcus and leaned against the desk. "You writing what I think you're writing?" "It's the easiest solution," Marcus said. "Easiest for who?" Marcus closed his eyes. "For everyone. Charlotte won't have to deny anything. Her father won't have to worry. The sponsors will calm down. And you'll spend every shift knowing you walked away from something real. Better than watching her lose everything." Gabe was quiet for a moment. Then he reached over and closed Marcus's laptop. "Don't send it yet. Let's see what the morning brings." "Gabe, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying don't do it at 4 a.m. when you haven't slept." Gabe's voice was firm but kind. "You've got a few hours. Use them." Marcus nodded slowly. He picked up the coffee mug and let the warmth seep into his hands. An hour later, Charlotte knocked on the bullpen door. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Hair pulled back, no makeup, exhaustion written across her face. "I need to talk to Marcus," she said. Gabe gestured them into the small break room and closed the door behind them. Charlotte turned to Marcus. "Did you write the request?" He didn't ask how she knew. "Yes." "Don't send it." "Charlotte, if you asked to be reassigned, it looks like I used you. Like I was inappropriate with staff, and now we're covering it up." Her voice shook. "I won't let people think that about you. And I won't let you lose your father's foundation because of me." They stared at each other, neither willing to back down, both trying to protect the other. Gabe knocked and opened the door. "We've got company at the gate." 3 photographers leaned against cars parked just outside the estate entrance. Their cameras hung from their necks. They were drinking coffee from thermoses and talking like they had all day. Marcus stood at the gate with Gabe, both of them calm and professional. Charlotte watched from the upstairs window, her stomach twisted in knots. One photographer called out, "Is it true Miss Hale is involved with her bodyguard?" Marcus didn't answer. "Just doing our jobs, man," another one said. "People want to know. You're on private property," Gabe replied evenly. Please step back to the public sidewalk. We're not on your property. We checked. You're blocking the gate access. That's private. Grumbling, the photographers shuffled back a few feet. One of them raised his camera toward Marcus. Come on, give us something. Is she in there? Can we get a statement? Marcus's voice stayed level. Miss Hale values her privacy. If you have media inquiries, contact the Foundation's office during business hours. That's not a denial, the photographer said, grinning. A fourth car pulled up. Another photographer got out, and suddenly they were all jockeying for position. One of them bumped another, and voices got loud. Hey! Gabe stepped forward. You want to stay here? You stay calm. Start pushing each other, and I'll call the police. For what? Standing on a sidewalk? For creating a public disturbance. The photographers settled down, but they didn't leave. They just waited, cameras ready. From the window, Charlotte saw her father standing behind her. He'd been watching the whole thing. Marcus handled that well, Richard said quietly. He always does. Her father was silent. Then, he cares about you. I can see that. Charlotte turned. Dad, I'm not saying I approve of how this happened, but I'm also not blind. Richard's expression was tired. I just want you to be safe and happy, even if I don't always know how to show it. Something in Charlotte's chest loosened slightly. I know. I'm meeting with sponsors this afternoon. Marcus will drive. I want to see how things feel outside this house. At noon, Charlotte sat with her father in the dining room. Marcus stood near the door, silent as always. Lunch was simple: sandwiches, fruit, iced tea. I've been thinking, Charlotte said carefully, about what you said last night. Richard looked up. You asked us to deny everything, but what if there's another way? What way? What if Marcus and I just don't give them anything? No denials, no confirmations. We stay professional in public. We don't feed the story. That won't make it go away. Maybe not, but lying won't either, and at least this way, we keep our dignity. Richard considered this. You understand that silence can be interpreted as confirmation? I understand, but I won't lie about Marcus. I won't make him look like he did something wrong when he didn't. Her father set down his fork. He looked at Marcus. And you? What do you think? Marcus met his gaze steadily. I think Charlotte deserves to make her own choices. I won't pressure her either way. But if staying in this position puts her at risk, I'll step aside. Would you do it quietly, without resentment? I'd do it because I care about her, not because anyone forced me. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, All right, we'll try it your way, for now. But if the sponsors push harder, we may not have a choice. That afternoon, Marcus drove Richard into town, for meetings. Charlotte stayed home, her mind spinning with worry. Evelyn found her in the garden, pacing among the rose bushes. I have news, Evelyn said, about the security footage leak. Charlotte stopped. What kind of news? I traced the vendor login that accessed the system. It was someone from a tech company that did temporary IT work last month. And guess who recommended them to your father? Who? Alec. Charlotte's blood ran cold. Are you sure? I have emails. He suggested them. Your father approved it. They came in to update some software. Evelyn's face was grim. Someone from that company pulled the footage. I think Alec arranged the whole thing. Why would he do that? Because if you look bad, he gets to swoop in and save you. Be the hero who manages your image crisis. Evelyn's voice was bitter. It's exactly his style. Create a problem, offer a solution, make himself essential. Charlotte felt sick. We need to tell my father. Not yet. We need more proof. Right now it's just suspicion. Then what do? We gather evidence, and we're careful. Alex playing a game, and we need to play it smarter. That evening, Charlotte waited on the South Path at 9 o'clock. It was the rule they'd agreed on. One private walk each night, off the clock, where they could talk honestly. Marcus appeared from the shadows. He'd changed out of his work clothes into jeans and a dark jacket. For once, he didn't look like a bodyguard. He just looked like a man taking a walk. "Hey," Charlotte said softly. "Hey." They started walking. The path curved through gardens and along the edge of the property. Solar lights marked the way, but most of it was dark and private. "My father noticed how you handled the photographers," Charlotte said. "He was impressed." "Just doing my job." "It's more than that. You stayed calm when they were trying to provoke you. You protected everyone without making it into a scene." Marcus shrugged. "Getting angry would have given them the drama they wanted. Better to stay boring." Charlotte smiled slightly. "You're not boring." "No? Not to me." They walked in silence for a few steps. Then Marcus said, "I'm scared, Charlotte. I'm scared of costing you everything. Your family, your reputation, your peace." "I'm scared too," she admitted. "I'm scared of becoming just another image, another carefully managed version of myself. I've spent my whole life being what other people needed. I don't want to do that anymore." "What do you want?" Charlotte stopped walking. They were at the far end of the path, where the estate met the tree line. No cameras reached here, no eyes watched. "I want to be honest," she said. "I want to choose what matters to me, and you matter, Marcus. You matter so much it terrifies me." He looked at her in the dim light. "You matter to me, too, more than I know how to say." Charlotte's hand lifted. It hovered near his. Their fingers were inches apart, but they didn't touch. They'd made a promise. No touching while he was on duty. And even here, even now, they held to it. "We can do this," Charlotte whispered. "We can be patient. We can be smart." "We can try," Marcus agreed. They stood there, achingly close but not quite together, until Charlotte finally said goodnight. She walked back to the house alone, and Marcus checked the perimeter like he did every night. But something had shifted. They weren't hiding anymore. They were planning, building something real, one careful step at a time. The next morning, Richard asked Marcus to accompany him to a sponsor meeting. Charlotte wasn't invited. It was just business discussions. They drove to a small office in town. The sponsor was a retired banker who'd supported the foundation for years. His assistant, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, offered them coffee. The meeting lasted an hour. Marcus stood near the door, alert but unobtrusive. When a delivery person tried to enter without checking in, Marcus politely intercepted them. When the assistant dropped a stack of files, he helped her pick them up. In the car afterward, Richard was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "You're good at this." Marcus glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Sir?" "Your job. You're professional, observant, respectful. You made that assistant feel safe when that delivery person showed up unannounced. You didn't make a scene, you just handled it. Thank you. Charlotte feels safe with you, too. I've noticed that." Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I would never let anything happen to her, sir, on duty or off." "I believe that." Richard paused. "I also believe you care about her. Genuinely." "I do." "Then I need you to understand something. The foundation isn't just about money or reputation. It's about helping people who need it. If we lose sponsors, real programs disappear. Scholarships, community support, all of it. I understand, sir. But," Richard continued, "I've also watched my daughter smile and nod her way through life, trying to be perfect. And I've watched her actually be happy when you're around. That matters too. Marcus didn't know what to say to that. I don't have answers yet, Richard admitted. I'm trying to figure out how to protect everyone, including you. When they returned to the estate, Charlotte was waiting on the front steps. Her father squeezed her shoulder as he walked past, heading inside. Marcus met her eyes. Something had changed. Not everything, but something. That afternoon, Alec posted a statement on social media. It was carefully worded, sympathetic sounding, but every sentence dripped poison. I'm concerned for my friend Charlotte Hale, who may have been placed in an uncomfortable position by a lapse in professional boundaries. These situations are delicate, and I hope everyone will respect her privacy while she navigates this difficult time. The comments exploded. People arguing over what uncomfortable position meant, some assuming Marcus had pressured her, others defending him. All of it ugly. Charlotte read the post twice, her hands shaking with anger. Evelyn called immediately. Don't respond. That's what he wants. He's making it sound like Marcus did something wrong. I know, but we can't prove Alec leaked anything yet. If you attack him publicly, it looks defensive. So I just let him twist the story? For now, but I'm working on getting proof. The tech company that accessed your security system? I found someone who works there willing to talk. Give me 2 more days. Charlotte closed her eyes. 2 days. We'll fix this, I promise. That night, the South Path walk felt heavier. Marcus had seen the post. Charlotte could tell by the tension in his shoulders. He's trying to make you look like a victim, Marcus said quietly. Like I took advantage. Anyone who knows you would know that's ridiculous. But most people don't know me. They just see headlines and assume. Charlotte stopped walking. I won't let him do this to you. Charlotte, I mean it. I'll make a statement. I'll tell everyone the truth. That we care about each other and there was no pressure, no power imbalance, nothing wrong. That'll make it worse, Marcus said gently. Right now, it's gossip. If you confirm it, it becomes news. So what do we do? Just let him lie? Marcus was quiet. Then, we wait. We let Evelyn get her proof. And we trust that the truth is stronger than rumors. You have a lot of faith in truth. I have faith in you. Charlotte's throat tightened. She wanted to touch him, to hold his hand or lean against his shoulder. But they'd made their rule, and breaking it now would only feed the story. So instead, she just said, Thank you. They finished their walk in silence. At the path's end, they stood facing each other in the dark. Good night, Charlotte. Good night, Marcus. Neither of them moved for a long moment. Their hands hung at their sides, fingers inches apart. The space between them felt electric and impossible. Finally, Charlotte turned and walked back to the house. Behind her, she heard Marcus's footsteps heading toward the security office. Patience, she told herself. Truth. Trust. They could do this. 2 nights later, Gabe knocked on Charlotte's door. I found Tess Alvarez, the catering assistant who saw you kiss. She agreed to meet with us. Charlotte's heart jumped. When? Tonight. There's a coffee shop in town. Quiet, private. You, me, and her. What about Marcus? He thinks it's better if he's not there. Less pressure on Tess. An hour later, Charlotte sat in a corner booth at a nearly empty coffee shop. Gabe sat beside her. Tess arrived looking nervous, hands wrapped around a to-go cup. Thank you for meeting us, Charlotte said gently. Tess sat down. She was young, maybe 24, with worried eyes. I don't want trouble. I just came to drop off trays and I saw, well, you know what I saw. We know, and we're not angry. We just want to understand what happened. Tess glanced at Gabe, then back to Charlotte. I saw you kiss. It was quick, And it looked, I don't know, sweet, mutual, like you both wanted it. I did, Charlotte said. We both did. The thing is, Tess continued, I had my phone in my hand. I'd been texting my boyfriend. But I didn't take a picture. I didn't record anything. I just froze because I wasn't expecting to see that. Did you tell anyone? Tess hesitated. I told my supervisor I needed a minute. I was flustered, but I didn't say why. Would you be willing to write that down? Gabe asked. A private statement, just the facts. What you saw, what you didn't do. Why? Charlotte took a breath. Because people are making assumptions about what happened, and your memory might matter if things get worse. Tess looked scared. I don't want to be in the middle of drama. You won't be. This is just for us. Private, in case we need it. After a long moment, Tess nodded. Okay, I'll write it down. Because what I saw was just two people who looked like they cared about each other. Nothing bad, nothing wrong. Charlotte's eyes stung. Thank you. Gabe arranged for Tess's rideshare and made sure she got home safely. Charlotte paid for her ride and added a generous tip. On the drive back to the estate, Gabe said, That's good to have. A witness who can confirm it was mutual. Will we need it? I hope not, but it's better to have it just in case. Charlotte stared out the window at the dark road. Somewhere behind them, Marcus was following in a second security vehicle, keeping watch, staying close but separate. It wasn't how she wanted things to be, but for now, it was what they had. And maybe, just maybe, it would be enough. The next morning, Charlotte woke to sunlight streaming through her windows. For the first time in days, she felt something like hope. She dressed and went downstairs. Her father was on the porch with coffee, looking out at the ocean. I've been thinking, Richard said when she joined him, about what you said, about dignity and truth. Yeah? I made some calls yesterday, talked to the sponsors who were concerned, explained that gossip isn't fact, and that this family doesn't make decisions based on rumors. Charlotte's breath caught. What did they say? Most of them backed off. One still has concerns, but he's willing to wait and see how things settle. Richard turned to face her. I'm not saying this is over, but I am saying I trust you to make the right choices. Even if that choice is Marcus? Her father smiled slightly. Even then, as long as you're both smart about it. Charlotte hugged him, quick and tight. Thank you, Dad. That afternoon, she texted Marcus. Beach cottage tomorrow morning? Off duty, just to clear our heads. His response came a minute later. I'll follow in a separate car, for security. Of course. Charlotte told her father her plan. He approved it, said she needed space to think. He didn't ask if Marcus would be there. He already knew. That night's walk on the south path felt lighter. Marcus actually smiled when Charlotte told him about her father's calls. He's trying, Marcus said. He is. It's not perfect, but it's better. That's all we can ask for. Better. They reached the end of the path. The trees rustled in the wind. Stars dotted the sky above them. Tomorrow at the cottage, Charlotte said. We'll talk, really talk, about what comes next. Okay? Their hands hung at their sides, closer than usual, but still not touching. Charlotte looked up at him. We're going to be all right, aren't we? Marcus's voice was soft, but sure. We're going to try like hell. And for now, that was enough. The beach cottage sat on a quiet stretch of coast, 20 minutes from the main estate. Charlotte had always loved it here. The small rooms, the salt-weathered deck, the sound of waves that never stopped. She arrived just before dawn, the sky turning pink and gold over the water. Marcus pulled up in a separate car moments later. He'd followed at a distance, professional as always. But when he stepped onto the deck where Charlotte waited with 2 mugs of coffee, something in his posture relaxed. "Off duty?" she asked, offering him a mug. "Off duty," he confirmed. They stood side by side, watching the sun rise over the ocean. The world felt quiet here, separate from gossip posts and sponsor concerns and worried fathers. "I love this place," Charlotte said. "When I was little, my mom would bring me here in the summers. We'd collect shells and make sandwiches and just be normal. No events, no expectations." "Sounds peaceful." It was. Charlotte turned to face him. "I want that. With you. Just normal. No hiding, no performing. Just us." Marcus set down his mug and looked at her fully. "I want that too." "Then we need a plan. A real one, not just avoiding the problem." They went inside and sat at the small kitchen table. Charlotte pulled out a notebook. "Okay," she said. "Here's what I think we should do. We talk to my father, together. We tell him we care about each other and we want to be honest about it. Not make a big announcement, just stop pretending." Marcus nodded slowly. "And if he says no?" "Then we try to understand why. And we work through it. But we don't lie. And we don't walk away from each other." "The sponsors?" "My father talked to most of them. They're backing off. And the ones who aren't? Maybe they were never the right partners anyway." Marcus studied her face. "You've really thought about this." "I've thought about nothing else." He reached across the table. His hand covered hers. Warm, steady, sure. It was the first time they'd touched since the kiss, and Charlotte felt something settle inside her chest. "We do this together," Marcus said. "Whatever comes." "Together?" They made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, fresh fruit. They talked about small things, favorite movies, childhood memories, places they wanted to visit someday. It felt ordinary and perfect, and exactly what Charlotte had been missing. Around 9 o'clock, they heard a car pull up outside. Charlotte looked through the window and froze. "That's my father's car." Marcus stood immediately, his professional mask sliding back into place. But Charlotte touched his arm. "Wait, let him see us. Just being ourselves." Richard Hale climbed the porch steps carrying bakery bags. He knocked once, then opened the door. He found Charlotte and Marcus sitting at the kitchen table with coffee mugs and breakfast plates. Not hiding, not pretending, just together. "Good morning," Richard said carefully. "Morning, Dad." Charlotte stood. "Would you like coffee?" "Please." She poured him a cup while her father set the bakery bags on the counter. Marcus had risen but stayed near the table, respectful, but not retreating. Richard sat down across from them. He looked tired, but not angry. "I wanted to see how you were doing," he said to Charlotte. "You've been dealing with a lot." "I'm okay. Better than okay, actually." Richard glanced at Marcus, then back to his daughter. "I can see that." They sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Charlotte said, "Dad, I want to talk to you. Really talk. About all of this." "I'd like that. But not right now. This afternoon. At the main house. Where we can sit down properly and be honest." Richard nodded. "This afternoon, then. 2 o'clock. My study." He stood and squeezed Charlotte's shoulder. He looked at Marcus, and something passed between them. Acknowledgement, maybe. Respect. After Richard left, Charlotte let out a long breath. "He saw us," she said. "Together, and he didn't explode." "No," Marcus agreed. "He didn't. That's progress, right? That's progress." They cleaned up breakfast and walked on the beach for an hour, shoes off, feet in the cold water. They didn't hold hands. Too visible, too risky. But they walked close enough that their shoulders brushed. Charlotte felt lighter than she had in weeks. At 1:30, they headed back to the estate. Marcus drove his car. Charlotte drove hers. They'd agreed to arrive separately, maintaining some discretion until after the talk with Richard. Charlotte showered and changed into clean clothes. She pulled her hair back and took 3 deep breaths. This was it, the conversation that would determine everything. At 2 o'clock, she walked to her father's study. Marcus was already there, standing near the window. Her father sat behind his desk. "Come in, Charlotte. Close the door." She did. She sat in one of the leather chairs. Marcus stayed standing until Richard gestured for him to sit too. "All right," Richard began. "Let's talk honestly. Charlotte, you care about Marcus. Marcus, you care about my daughter, yes?" "Yes," they both said. "And you want this to be more than just a private understanding. You want to be open about it." Charlotte nodded. "Not making some big public announcement, just not lying, not pretending we're strangers." Richard was quiet for a long moment. Then his computer chimed with an email notification. He glanced at it, and his face changed. "What is it?" Charlotte asked. Richard turned the screen toward them. It was an email from one of the concerned sponsors. The subject line read, "Regarding recent video." Charlotte's stomach dropped. "What video?" Richard clicked a link in the email. A video player opened. The clip was short, maybe 15 seconds. It showed hallway footage from the night of the reception. But it had been edited, cut to make it look like Marcus was leaning into Charlotte while she stood frozen against the wall. The angle made it seem aggressive, uncomfortable. It wasn't what happened, not even close. But it looked bad. "Oh my God," Charlotte breathed. Marcus's face had gone completely still. "That's not what happened." "I know," Richard said quietly. "But this is what people will see." Charlotte's phone started buzzing. Then Marcus's, then Richard's. The clip was going viral. The next few hours blurred together in a nightmare. The edited video spread across social media. Comments flooded in, angry, judgmental, cruel. People who'd never met Marcus were calling him predatory. People who'd never met Charlotte were calling her naive or worse. 3 sponsors emailed to suspend their partnerships pending investigation. News sites picked up the story with headlines that made Charlotte's skin crawl. Marcus sat in the security office with Gabe, both of them reviewing the original unedited footage. The full video showed the kiss clearly, mutual, gentle, both of them moving toward each other. But the edited version told a different story, a lie. "Who did this?" Charlotte demanded when she joined them. Evelyn was already there, laptop open, furiously typing. "Same burner account as before," Evelyn said. "But I traced the video file. It came from the same tech company that accessed your system before, the one Alec recommended. So he's behind this. I'm 90% sure, but I need one more piece of proof." Charlotte's hands shook. "This is destroying Marcus. People think they think he hurt me." Marcus's voice was hollow. "Maybe I should just resign. Let this die down." "No," Charlotte said fiercely. "That makes it look like you're guilty." "Staying makes it worse for you." "I don't care." Richard appeared in the doorway. He looked older than Charlotte had ever seen him. "Marcus, I think Charlotte's right. If you resign now, it confirms the lie." "With respect, sir, staying confirms something else. That I put my feelings above your daughter's reputation." "What if we release the full footage?" Evelyn suggested. "Show what really happened?" "That shows they kissed," Richard pointed out. "Which might help Marcus's reputation but confirms the relationship." They all looked at each other, trapped between impossible choices. Finally, Marcus stood. "I'm going to write a resignation letter. Tonight. Effective immediately. It's the only way to take the pressure off Charlotte." "Marcus, don't—" But he'd already left the office. Charlotte ran after him, catching him on the path between buildings. You can't do this. I have to. This is exactly what Alec wants. You leave, I look like a victim, he swoops in to help me, and he wins. Marcus stopped walking. Maybe he does, but at least you're safe. I don't want to be safe. I want the truth. The truth is messy, Charlotte. The truth costs things. Then let it cost. I'm tired of protecting an image that isn't even real. Marcus looked at her, and in the dim evening light, she could see how much this was hurting him. How much he wanted to protect her, even if it meant losing everything. I love you, Charlotte said. The words came out raw and desperate. I love you, and I won't let you disappear because people are too small-minded to understand that. Marcus's eyes closed. Charlotte, I love you, she repeated, and I'm going to fight for us, even if you won't. She turned and walked back to the house, tears streaming down her face. That night, alone in her room, she received an email from Marcus. No subject line. Just an attachment, his resignation letter. Charlotte read it 3 times. It was professional, gracious, took full responsibility for any appearance of impropriety. It thanked the Hale family for the opportunity. It wished them well. It was the quietest kind of goodbye. Charlotte sat with her laptop, tears dripping onto the keyboard. Everything was falling apart. The edited video, the sponsors, the rumors, and now Marcus was walking away to protect her. No, she wouldn't let it end like this. At dawn, Charlotte woke to find her father on the porch. He was sitting in one of the wicker chairs, staring at the ocean. She brought him coffee and sat beside him. I got Marcus's resignation, Richard said. I know. He did it to protect you. I know that too. They sat in silence. Then Richard said, I made some calls last night, to Evelyn, to Gabe, to the tech company. We have proof that Alec was behind the leak. We have timestamps showing the video was edited. We have Tess's statement about what she actually saw. Charlotte turned to look at him. What are you saying? I'm saying we have the truth. The question is what we do with it. I want to tell it. All of it. Publicly. That's going to be hard. People will have opinions. The sponsors might walk anyway. Let them. Charlotte's voice was steady. I've spent my whole life worrying about what people think. About protecting an image. But that image isn't me. And I'm done pretending it is. Richard studied her face. Then he nodded slowly. All right, then let's do it right. An hour later, Evelyn arrived with a folder full of evidence. Gabe brought the full, unedited security footage. They gathered in Richard's study, Charlotte, her father, Evelyn, Gabe, and, after some convincing, Marcus. Here's what we have, Evelyn said, spreading papers across the desk. Email trails, tying Alec to the tech company. Logan records showing when the footage was accessed. The edited video compared to the original. Tess's written statement confirming the kiss was mutual. And here's what I propose, Charlotte added. I make a statement, simple, honest. No attacks on Alec, no defensive explanations, just the truth. What will you say? Richard asked. Charlotte pulled out her phone. She'd drafted something in the middle of the night. I'll say that Marcus and I care about each other, that there was no coercion, no inappropriate behavior, that the edited video is a lie, and we have proof, and that I'm asking for privacy while we figure out what comes next. Marcus shook his head. Charlotte, that confirms everything. The sponsors who can't handle the truth aren't sponsors I want. She looked at her father. Right, Dad? Richard was quiet. Then he said, I've been thinking about that, about what the foundation is really for. It's supposed to help people, support dignity and opportunity. If we abandon those principles to chase money, what's the point? Gabe cleared his throat. For what it's worth, I think Charlotte's right. The edited video is slander. If you don't counter it, people will believe it. And Marcus's reputation matters just as much as Charlotte's, Evelyn added. Maybe more. He's the one being portrayed as a predator. Marcus looked around the room. Everyone was watching him. If Charlotte makes that statement, he said slowly, there's no going back. Everyone will know we're together. Good, Charlotte said. I want them to know. You could lose everything. I could lose you. That's worse. Marcus's jaw worked. Finally, he said, Okay, but I stay resigned until this settles. I won't be your bodyguard while we're publicly together. That's asking for more problems. Then we find you a different job, Richard said. One that doesn't report to me or involve Charlotte directly, something independent. Marcus looked surprised. Sir? You're a good man, Marcus. I'm not losing you over gossip. Richard stood and offered his hand. But we do this the right way, transparent, above board. They shook hands. Charlotte pulled out her phone. She opened the Notes app where she'd drafted her statement. She read it one more time, making small edits. Then she looked up at the people gathered in the study. Her father, her cousin, Marcus, Gabe. The people who'd fought for her when everything fell apart. I'm posting it now, she said. And she did. 3 sentences, plain and simple. Marcus Reed and I care about each other deeply. Recent videos and rumors do not reflect the truth of our relationship, which is based on mutual respect and genuine feeling. I ask for privacy as we navigate this together, and I'm grateful for those who've supported us with kindness. She hit post on her personal social media account. Then she turned off her phone and set it face down on the desk. Done, she said. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. Evelyn hugged her. Gabe nodded with approval. Richard squeezed her shoulder, and Marcus looked at her with something like wonder in his eyes. You're braver than anyone I've ever met, he said quietly. I learned from you. The room fell silent. Outside, morning sun warmed the estate grounds. Inside, they all knew that responses would come, some kind, some cruel. But for now, in this moment, the truth was out, and that was enough. That afternoon, Richard asked Marcus to meet him at a hotel lobby in town. Neutral territory. Private. Marcus arrived to find Richard at a corner table with coffee and pastries. Sit, Richard said. Marcus sat. I want to talk to you, not as Charlotte's father, not as your former employer, just as one man to another. All right. Richard took a breath. When I was young, I fell in love with Charlotte's mother at a company picnic. She was my father's secretary. He thought I was insane, told me I'd ruin my reputation, hurt the family business, throw away my future. Marcus stayed quiet, listening. I almost listened to him, almost walked away. But then I realized something. Richard looked Marcus in the eye. A reputation built on lies isn't worth protecting, and a life without love isn't worth living. What happened? I married her anyway. My father came around eventually, not because he suddenly approved, but because he saw how happy we were, how real it was. Richard's voice softened. She died 5 years ago, cancer, and every day since, I've been grateful I didn't let fear win. Marcus felt something tight in his chest loosen slightly. Charlotte is my whole world, Richard continued. And watching her with you, really watching, I see something I haven't seen in years. She's herself, not the perfect daughter or the polished heiress. Just Charlotte. She's extraordinary, Marcus said quietly. She is, and she chose you. Not because you're convenient or expected, but because you're good and kind and you make her happy. Richard paused. I won't stand in the way of that, but I'm asking you to do something. What? Come back, not as her bodyguard. I meant what I said. Gabe's finding you a different position. But come back to the estate. Be part of our lives. Do this honestly. Marcus didn't know what to say. Only if Charlotte agrees, Richard added. Only if you both want it, but know that you have my blessing, my support, and my apology for not saying this sooner. Sir, Richard, I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Say you'll give us a chance to do better. Marcus nodded slowly. I'll think about it. They shook hands. When Marcus left, he sat in his car for 10 minutes, processing everything. His phone buzzed. A text from Charlotte. How did it go? Your father is a surprising man. Good surprising or bad surprising? Good. Really good. Come home. Please. Marcus stared at the word home. It had been a long time since anywhere felt like that. He started the car and drove back to the estate. Charlotte sat in a quiet cafe, watching people walk past the window. Evening light painted everything gold. Her coffee had gone cold, but she didn't touch it. She was waiting for Alec. Evelyn had wanted to come, but Charlotte said no. This was something she needed to do alone. At 6:15, Alec walked in. He looked polished as always, expensive suit, perfect hair, confident smile. He slid into the seat across from her. Charlotte, good to see you. Is it? She asked. His smile faltered slightly. I saw your post. Very brave. Don't what? Don't pretend you care. Don't act concerned. Charlotte's voice was calm but firm. I know you leaked the footage. I know you arranged for that tech company to access our security system. I have proof. Alec's expression flickered, just for a second. Then he recovered. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Evelyn traced everything. The login records, the emails, the edited video. It all leads back to you. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. The charming mask dropped away, leaving something colder underneath. So what? He finally said. You think you can prove it? Take me to court? I could, but I won't. That surprised him. Why not? Because you're not worth it. Because I don't want to spend another second of my life dealing with you. Charlotte set her hands flat on the table. I came here to tell you that we're done. Completely. No more contact, no more games, no more anything. Charlotte, you tried to ruin Marcus because you couldn't stand that I chose him over you. You tried to make me look like a victim so you could swoop in and save me. But here's what you don't understand. She leaned forward. I don't need saving. I never did. I just needed people to stop trying to control me. Alec's jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. He's nobody. He has nothing to offer you. He has himself. That's everything. You think love is enough? You think your father's foundation will survive this? You're naive. Maybe, but I'd rather be naive and honest than calculating and empty. Charlotte stood. Don't contact me again. Don't contact my family. Move on with your life and let me move on with mine. She pulled a 20 from her wallet and left it on the table for her untouched coffee. Alec called after her. You're going to regret this. Charlotte paused at the door and looked back. The only thing I regret is wasting time on you. She walked out into the golden evening. Across the street, Marcus leaned against a car. Not hers, not a security vehicle, just a regular car. He was waiting, like he'd said he would, not hovering, not interfering. Just there if she needed him. Charlotte crossed the street. She didn't say anything. She just walked up to him and leaned her forehead against his chest. His arms came around her, steady and warm. You okay? He asked quietly. I'm free. she said. They stood like that for a long moment, right there on the sidewalk, while people walked past and traffic hummed and the world kept turning. Finally, Charlotte pulled back. "Take me home?" "Always." They drove back to the estate separately, Marcus in his car, Charlotte in hers. Old habits. But this time, it didn't feel like hiding. It just felt like practical. When they pulled up to the estate gate, 3 photographers were still camped out. But something had changed. They didn't surge forward or shout questions. They just took a few photos and stayed back. Maybe it was because Charlotte's post had taken the scandal out of the story. Maybe they were just tired. Either way, it felt calmer. Charlotte parked in the carport. Marcus parked beside her. Her father stood on the front porch, watching. Charlotte looked at Marcus. "Together?" He nodded. They walked from the cars to the porch side by side. Not hiding, not performing. Just 2 people who cared about each other, moving through the world honestly. Charlotte reached out and took Marcus's hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm and sure and real. They walked past the photographers. Cameras clicked, but no one shouted. No one rushed forward. It was just documentation, not spectacle. Richard watched them approach, his expression unreadable. When they reached the porch, Charlotte said, "Dad, this is who I am. This is what I choose." Richard looked at their joined hands. Then he looked at his daughter's face, calm, certain, happier than he'd seen her in years. "Then I support it," he said simply. Charlotte's eyes filled with tears. "Really?" "Really." He glanced at Marcus. "Welcome home." Marcus squeezed Charlotte's hand. "Thank you, sir." "Richard," her father corrected. "If you're going to be part of this family, we should use first names." They went inside together. Evelyn was in the kitchen with Gabe, both of them pretending not to have been watching out the window. "Well?" Evelyn demanded. "How did it go with Alec?" "It's over. Done. He's out of our lives." "Good." Evelyn hugged her. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me, too." Gabe cleared his throat. "Marcus, when you have a minute, I want to talk about that new position. Head of Special Project Security. Independent contractor. You'd report directly to me, not the family. Interested?" Marcus glanced at Charlotte. She nodded encouragingly. "Very interested," Marcus said. "Good. We'll talk details tomorrow." The kitchen fell into comfortable silence. Then Richard said, "I'm grilling tonight. Backyard, 7 o'clock. Everyone's invited." "Everyone?" Charlotte asked. "Everyone who matters. Family, friends, people who stood by us." He looked at Marcus. "That includes you." The backyard table was set with mismatched chairs and simple dishes. No formal settings, no catering staff. Just a regular dinner. Richard manned the grill, flipping burgers and chicken. Evelyn made a salad. Charlotte set out drinks. Gabe arrived with a pie from his favorite bakery. And Marcus helped wear. He could, still a little uncertain about his place in all of this, but trying. There was a card by Charlotte's plate when she sat down. She opened it. "Thank you for telling the truth. You helped me too." Tess Charlotte smiled and tucked the card into her pocket. She'd send Tess a proper thank you later. Maybe invite her to lunch. They ate as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Conversation flowed easily. Stories, laughter, comfortable silences. Richard raised his glass. "To simple truths." Everyone clinked glasses. "And to people who fight for what matters," Evelyn added. "To family," Gabe said. "However we find it." Charlotte looked at Marcus. He was smiling, really smiling, in a way she'd rarely seen. "To tomorrow," she said. "And taking it one day at a time." They drank to that. After dinner, people drifted into conversation. Richard and Gabe talked about security upgrades. Evelyn showed Charlotte something funny on her phone. Marcus helped clear plates, still being helpful even off duty. Charlotte caught his hand as he passed. "Walk with me?" "Where to?" "The garden gate. I want to show you something." They walked through the backyard, past the rose bushes, to the small gate that led to the beach path. The ocean breathed in the distance, steady and eternal. Charlotte opened the gate. Beyond it, the path stretched down to the sand, lit by moonlight. "I used to come here when I needed to think," she said. "When everything felt too heavy, I'd walk down to the water and just breathe." "It's beautiful." "It is, but it was always lonely." She turned to face him. "I don't want to be lonely anymore." Marcus cupped her face gently. "You're not anymore." He kissed her, slow and sweet and unhurried. Not stolen in a corridor, not hidden in shadows. Just a kiss between two people who'd fought for the right to be together. When they pulled apart, Charlotte rested her forehead against his. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we figure it out, day by day. No more hiding. No more pretending. Just us, honest and real." Charlotte smiled. "I can work with that." They stood in the garden gateway, wrapped in each other's arms, while the ocean whispered and the house glowed with warm light behind them. Inside, through the windows, Charlotte could see her father laughing at something Evelyn said. Could see Gabe helping himself to more pie. Could see the life she'd built. Messy and imperfect and absolutely real. "I love you," she told Marcus. "I should have said it when you weren't about to resign." He laughed softly. "I love you too, even when you're terrifyingly brave. Especially then. Especially then." They kissed again, taking their time, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Sponsors might still walk away. People might still gossip. The path forward wouldn't be easy, but it would be honest, and it would be theirs. 3 weeks later, Charlotte sat at her laptop in the library, reviewing foundation reports. 2 sponsors had left, just as predicted. But 3 new ones had reached out, smaller organizations that liked the foundation's commitment to authenticity. The gossip had mostly died down. Some people still had opinions, but they were just noise now. Background static that didn't touch the important things. Marcus's new position was working well. He handled special security projects, audits, protocol updates, training. He worked with Gabe but remained independent, professional, respected. And in the evenings, he and Charlotte walked together, not hidden on back paths, but openly through the estate grounds. Sometimes they had dinner with Richard. Sometimes they drove to the beach cottage. Sometimes they just sat on the porch and talked. It was ordinary. It was perfect. Charlotte's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Dinner tonight? Just us? Sounds perfect. Where? That little Italian place you like. 7:30? It's a date." Charlotte smiled and went back to her reports. Outside, she heard her father's voice. He was on the phone with a potential sponsor, explaining the foundation's mission with genuine enthusiasm. Evelyn knocked on the library door. "Hey, want to grab lunch?" "Sure, let me finish this section." "Take your time, I'll be in the garden." Life had found a new rhythm. Not the carefully orchestrated performance of before, but something real and sustainable. That evening, Charlotte dressed for dinner. Nothing fancy, just a simple dress and comfortable shoes. Marcus picked her up at 7:15, wearing jeans and a button-down shirt. "You look beautiful," he said. "You look pretty good yourself." They drove into town, windows down, radio playing softly. The restaurant was small and warm, with candles on every table. They ordered pasta and wine and talked about everything and nothing. Halfway through dinner, Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. I've been thinking, he said. About what? About the future. About us. He paused. I'm not saying we rush anything, but I want you to know. I'm in this. For real. For as long as you'll have me. Charlotte's throat tightened. I'm in this too. Completely. Even when it's hard? Especially when it's hard. They finished dinner slowly, savoring each bite and each moment. When they left, Marcus held the door for her, and they walked to the car hand in hand. On the drive home, Charlotte looked out at the dark roads and distant lights. She thought about everything that had happened: the kiss, the rumors, the fight for truth, the fear and the courage and the choice to be honest even when it cost something. No regrets? Marcus asked, as if reading her mind. Not one, Charlotte said. You? Not one. They pulled up to the estate. The house glowed warmly in the darkness. Richard's car was in the driveway, Evelyn's too. Inside, people who loved her were living their lives. And here, beside her, was the man who'd seen her, really seen her, and loved her anyway. Charlotte leaned over and kissed Marcus gently. Thank you. For what? For being brave enough to stay, for fighting for us, for showing me what honest love looks like. Marcus smiled. Thank you for being brave first. They walked to the house together, fingers intertwined, hearts settled, futures open. The ocean breathed in the distance, stars scattered across the sky. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new joys, but tonight was exactly what it needed to be. Ordinary, open, true, and that was more than enough. Months passed, the seasons changed, Charlotte's foundation adjusted and grew, finding sponsors who valued authenticity over appearances. Richard relaxed, letting go of some of the control he'd held so tightly for so long. Marcus thrived in his new role, building programs that actually made the estate safer while respecting everyone's dignity. He and Gabe became genuine friends. He and Richard developed a mutual respect that grew into something like affection. And Charlotte finally felt like herself. Not the polished heiress, not the perfect daughter, just a woman who'd fought for love and won. One evening, as they walked the beach path near the cottage, Marcus stopped and turned to face her. What? Charlotte asked, seeing something serious in his expression. I want to ask you something, but I don't want you to feel pressured. Her heart started beating faster. Okay. Marcus took both her hands. I know we said we wouldn't rush, and I'm not trying to. But I also know what I want, and what I want is a life with you. All the days, the ordinary ones, and the hard ones, and the beautiful ones. Charlotte's eyes filled with tears. So I'm asking, Marcus continued, his voice steady but gentle. Will you marry me? Someday? When we're ready. No timeline, just a promise. Yes, Charlotte said immediately. Yes, absolutely, yes. He pulled her close and kissed her, and she kissed him back, tasting salt and joy and the future they'd build together. When they pulled apart, she was laughing and crying at the same time. I don't have a ring yet, Marcus admitted. I wanted to ask first. Do this right. I don't need a ring. I just need you. You have me. Always. They walked back to the cottage as the sun set, painting the world in gold and pink. Inside, they made dinner together, moving around the small kitchen like they'd done it 1,000 times. And maybe, in all the ways that mattered, they had. That night, Charlotte called her father. Dad, I wanted you to hear it from me. Marcus asked me to marry him. There was a pause. Then Richard's voice came through, warm and genuine. And you said yes? I said yes. Good. That's good, Charlotte. I'm happy for you, for both of you. Really? Really. He's a good man. And you're happy. That's all I've ever wanted. After they hung up, Charlotte sat on the cottage porch with Marcus, watching the waves roll in. The world felt vast and full of possibility. "Ready for this?" Marcus asked. "All of it? The wedding, planning, and the family dynamics, and figuring out where we'll live?" "I'm ready for anything, as long as you're there." "I'm not going anywhere." Charlotte leaned her head on his shoulder. "Good." They sat in comfortable silence as stars appeared one by one overhead. The ocean sang its endless song. And two people who'd fought for the right to love each other honestly simply sat together, planning a future built on truth. It wasn't perfect. Life never was. There would be challenges ahead, more gossip, more judgment, more people who didn't understand. But Charlotte and Marcus had learned something important. Love didn't require perfection. It required courage, honesty, the willingness to fight for what mattered. And they had all of that in abundance. So when morning came, they'd face it together. When difficulties arose, they'd work through them side by side. And when joy arrived, as it so often did now, they'd celebrate it fully, without hiding or pretending or holding back. Because they'd chosen truth over appearances, dignity over control, love over fear, and that made all the difference. The end.